Hello guys and welcome to the channel UFO to Know, and in today's video I just wanted to quickly go through the three major extraterrestrial groups that are currently influencing the Earth. So the first one is the Orion group. Now many of you have heard of the Orion group from the Law of One channelings. They seek conquest through finding basically the ruling elites of the world and giving them information that will allow them to rule the non elites and enslave them. They also abduct and do experiments to turn people into sleeper agents through a triggering program. They consist of mostly greys and reptilians as well as insectoids. They live underground and underwater in their DUMBs, deep underground military bases. They pilot elongated ovoid shaped craft, which are of a darker nature than silver and have a metallic appearance if seen in the light. In the absence of light, it appears to be red or fiery in some nature. Other craft that they utilize include disc-shaped objects of approximately 12 feet in diameter, the box-like shape approximately 40 feet, and other craft can take on a desired shape through the use of thought control mechanisms. There are various civilizations and races that work within this group, and some are more able to use intelligent infinity than others. The information is rarely shared between the races, and therefore their crafts vary greatly in shape and appearance. The next group that's also talked quite a bit about in the Law of One Raw Material is the Confederation of Planets in Service of the Infinite Creator. This is the confederation that Ra belongs to. Their message is that all things, all of life, all of creation is part of one original thought. Their philosophy is one of benevolence. They seek to serve. However, they believe in a non interference prime directive protocol. They await the call. Now, this is really demonstrated by the fact that they will not really interfere with something like nuclear war. Instead, they have a backup plan that Rod detailed. That is, they have built and engineered bodies that would be able to withstand high levels of radiation. So they're not willing to prevent or interfere in nuclear destruction, clearly. They believe in internal salvation, and their higher perspective of life as a game/test prevents them from taking direct action for the most part. They have the ability to use intelligent infinity so they can shape craft with their thought. An example of this is the bell-shaped craft that the Venusians used when they came. The last group is the Galactic Federation, highly talked about in recent times. Now they're known for their mixed contacts. They're also known as the Ashtar Command, and they're really our best chance at direct intervention in the case of, for example, nuclear warfare. They see our struggles and sympathize greatly. They're willing to take direct action, unlike the Confederation, and they apparently have bases on Mars and the Moon. The one transcript I really saw that talked about the Galactic Federation came actually from the Quo channelings, in which Carla Ruckert described them as having very strong energy that's capable, though, of quite a bit of delusion. They talk about the story about the Pleiadians, which I will recount here. As best as they can recall, the Pleiadians were a very ancient race that was made up of not one race, but of many different kinds of beings who came together. Physical beings and non-physical beings, like water beings, air beings, more ethereal beings. And they have a governing council made up of beings who are incarnate and discarnate. That council and those beings were aware of the distortions that were happening on Earth due to extraterrestrial contact with the Earth by negatively polarized entities. And there was a debate about whether or not to intervene. So some of the beings from the council, it's not really a council, but more of a voluntary thing, came to Earth. They came not as incarnate beings, but as shape changers, which is a way of simulating incarnation here in the physical, but being able to leave at will and not be subject to the karma. So they were hoping that by simulating the negatively polarized extraterrestrials, they could give a different message of love instead of a negative one of fear. But what they didn't realize was that by taking the form of these negative beings, they had to copy them so precisely that they had the capability to even emulate the emotional body to such an extent that they could not separate from the negative polarity as well. Thus, they fell into negativity because they also, despite their very good intentions, had a small amount of mixed motivations or negativity within them. They were very loving beings with very good intentions, but they overestimated their own ability and their own need to learn from the negative half to understand negativity within them. So eventually, many of them took incarnation on Earth, and as the years and incarnations went by, many of the lessons from their civilization became seed points of our own great civilization. They were bringers of culture and light. So they came to teach, but also ended up coming to learn, and many are still here working out their karma. There is still contact going on from the Pleiades, as Aaron had mentioned in the quote dialogues, but there's still debate about this contact and whether beings from other planets should actively intervene. This was also an echo of previous history in which the makers of Earth had seen the negative contact with their creations. The people of Earth, they tried to protect them somehow, not trusting people's ability to learn from this negative contact. And this protectiveness, which is detailed by the Yahweh story, by Yahweh, became itself a negative catalyst, and further, it was the birth of fear on Earth. This was long before the Pleiadians saw the contact of extraterrestrials, which was far more negative by then. So I think some of the contact that Carla is talking about, some of these beings come to do good, but not to intervene. There's also a law or an agreement to come to Earth, to not come to Earth, unless it's by incarnation. But I'm not sure if they all follow this law. So the Galactic Federation is certainly one of the more interesting groups. Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, catch you in the next one. Ciao.